Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Taisho Alice, and we are picking up where we left off, sorta. We got our bad end for save 10. Okay, like, I know we haven't technically on save 4 or anything, so it's technically our 9th bad ending, I think? Anyway, we did that, but it was right around time, so we ended. So we are just reloading here on this choice with, is it possible Kaguya's a monster? And saying no was bad. So we're gonna say, maybe? Maybe so. I stopped and regarded him with a serious look. But more than that, I think the person you've hurt the most is probably yourself. He quirked a brow. You think I don't know what you're hiding behind that smile? Trust me, I'm not stupid. I wasn't joking around. Neither was he, of course, but unlike me, he was still smiling faintly. What I'm hiding. But before I could respond, I heard the front door jingle. It sounds like they're back. Yeah. This marked the end of our conversation. Once upon a time in the looking-glass world, there lived a peculiar young man named Kaguya. He was blessed with mysterious charms such that all the women of the world, rich or poor, fell head over heels for him. Alas, Kaguya suffered from amnesia. He had no clue who he was or how he'd spent his life. In an attempt to restore his lost memories, his caretakers held an extravagant party and gathered all the ladies in town. They were hoping at least one of these women would know about Kaguya, and sure enough, 5 such ladies stayed behind. I have no idea why my screen is flickering like this. The game did this once before to me, and I had to, reboot it, but not while I was playing. The 5 women all insisted that Kaguya was their beloved, their property. Each of them begged him to remember their love affair. The caretakers saw this and said to the women, "She who brings the keepsake that successfully revives his memories shall be named his true lover." The 5 women agreed that this was a good plan and promised to bring their keepsakes at a later date. Then they all went home. Technically it was 4, we don't count. But in the end, no one knew which keepsake would revive his memories, nor what those memories even were. That night, I lay in bed deep in thought. Perhaps some people would find my present predicament irksome. Oh, it's not the ladies that are back. It was Cinderella. I was like, how are we in bed? Cinderella and Snow White from Walking Him Home. Right, okay. Anyway. After all, whoever brought forth an item that successfully jogged Kaguya's memory would then be considered his real girlfriend. It's like a contest at a fair. Step right up. Let's see what you've won. It's a new boyfriend. Oh, today's showcase showdown. Oh my god. What do you bid on your showcase, Spacey? Pricelessness. Anyway. Admittedly, it was unethical to treat a human being like an object. But on the other hand, at least it made things simple. That is not the right way to look at this. Yes, this was all a game. The master had issued a challenge, and now it was up to the players to rise to the task for a prize. That kind of game. I squeezed my eyes shut. If this was a game, then I needed to think of the optimal strategy. Just then I heard a knock at my door, so I got up and answered it. Who could it be at this time of night? It's me. I opened the door to find a most uncommon visitor standing there. Is it cool if I come in? Sure. I stepped back and gestured for him to enter. Pardon the intrusion. What do you need, Snow White? It's past your bedtime. Are you annoyed with the way things have turned out? Sodane. Sodane. Totally. You're lying. I grinned mirthlessly. You believe that restoring his memories is a necessary measure. If I hadn't suggested this, you surely would have. Wait a minute. Are you annoyed with the way things have turned out? And I'm saying totally, and he's saying I'm lying? So he's saying I'm okay with the way things have turned out? Because I would feel like we're not okay with this, because we're basically auctioning off a human here. This is weird. Yeah, maybe so. As he stood there, I pulled out a nearby chair and offered it to him. I mean, I guess that's what he's saying, like, are you bothered about how I, like, went about doing this? And we're like, yes. And he's like, you would have come up with the same idea. Yeah, probably, but it's still fucking wrong, and we should still be bothered by it. No. He gracefully descended onto it, then fixed me with a scrutinizing look. Tomorrow we might just see a war break out over who gets to keep your boyfriend. I mean, that's kind of how we should have, like, okay, well, how about this? He doesn't remember any of you, but if you bring stuff to help him jog his memory, that might help him go, oh my god, it was you that I was in love with, and then that might win him back. Not, we're gonna hand him to you, because, like, that's wrong, but, like, well, he doesn't remember any of you. But if you bring something that makes him go, oh my god, yes, I was absolutely in love with you, former girlfriend D, like, then you'll be able to get him back because he'll remember those feelings for you. That's the way we should have fucking sold it, not actually putting him up for bids. Just saying. We crossed a line there. Yep. I bet you're not taking part. Why? Because you don't have a corresponding piece on this chessboard? I laid my hand on the table and leaned forward slightly, peering into his eyes. That's right. After all, I don't have any keepsake I can offer. It sounds like she's leaning forward like, that's right. Tell us where you hid the body! Like, just like, for some reason in my head, putting her hand on the table and leaning forward just felt like such a fucking, like, cop interrogation move. Well, that's right. After all, I don't have any keepsake I can offer. I'm not on the same playing field. So you plan to use them to achieve your goals? Sonotori. Exactly. I shot him a wink. He stared back at me, his eyes icy and clear like a mirror's surface. If I let my guard down, it felt like he might just see right through me. You asked them if Kaguya was their toy. They said yes, and I didn't argue. Want to know why? Because I knew I was treating them like toys. Well, aren't you a saint? Yeah, I get that a lot. I smiled stiffly. This could hurt him, you know. Yeah. Once he gets his memories back, he might leave you. You're not dating the real him. Only the blank slate version. I know. But I'd still prefer that he cured his amnesia. Why do you want Kaguya to regain his memories? Because I love him! Daddy, I love him! Look, I'm sorry. I will never stop being able to quote that line from fucking Little Mermaid. It's just ingrained in my life, so. But Daddy, I love him! I want to watch The Little Mermaid now. Because it's the right thing to do. Because that's what's best for him. You're doing it for him? Are you sure it's what he wants? At a surface level, no, it's probably not. But what about subconsciously? Subconsciously? On an instinctual level, I mean. Do you know the answer to that? Nope, I'm as clueless as they come. But that just means I have room to learn. And I need to know what happened to him before he got amnesia. I need to know his pain and suffering. But most of all, I need to know what he truly wants. And why is that? Because I'm going to heal him. Oh, wow, well, that's just weird. That's, oh, no, okay. In this game, I'll give you that. But, like, in real life, I will heal him. Okay, this is not, it's not gonna work, unless you're a therapist, but. You can't change the past, you know. Yeah, I know. But I might be able to grant his wish, right? See, the thing is, Snow White, all I care about is making sure my beloved is happy. Even if that happiness doesn't include you. Yeah, although obviously I'd love it if it did. And that's the thing. That's true. That's when you actually care for a human being. It's like, you're like, well, kind of sucks that I'm not happy with them, but I'm happy that they're happy. They deserve to be happy, and maybe it didn't work out. But that's like the best way something can go wrong. You know what I mean? As opposed to the, no, when your life is crumbling around you, I'm going to be standing there going, That's just terrible. That's part of being human. It's okay for you to feel that way, because there are just some people that we cannot be happy when we cannot be happy for, because they are just awful. And I'm sure there's people that feel that way about us. Fine. But when you actually care about someone, you may be like, look, it sucks if they're like, yeah, I don't want to be with you, I'm going to be with this other person. And you're like, everything is awful. But after a while, you're like, if they're happy, sure. That's good. Because it'll stop hurting you eventually. You know what I mean? You're going to be like, oh, it definitely wasn't the right situation because we're not together. And I feel okay if I know that they're happy. You know? Good, they're happy. Good for you. Cool. I'm not going to go home and cry about it. I might go home and cry because everybody else is happy and I'm sad and alone. That's just having your pity party. That's different. It's going to suck for a while and it's going to hurt her, but eventually we'll move on and date Snow White or some shit, because this is the next path after this. Which obviously is the next game, but whatever. Maybe I'm not the only chessboard just yet, but I'm willing to be turned into a pawn at any time. Maybe I'm not on the chessboard. Wow. Then I'll get myself promoted into whatever piece I need to be to win. Even if you die in the process? Of course. What? Oh, we turned this chess analogy real dark. Are you playing Danganronpa, Snow White? You're an odd duck. Yeah, I get that a lot. I shot him another wink. The next day marked the start of the Keepsake Tournament. It's turned into a Harry Potter novel. Princess number 1. The first to turn up was the standoffish one. A bowl? We used this bowl a lot when we were together. Don't you remember? I can't. Sorry. Sure you can't. Take a good look. Didn't I take you off the street when you had nowhere else to go? I fed you, gave you a room of your own, and helped you live a normal life, remember? After all I did for you, you can't even remember? You're so entitled. You always have been. You treated him like he was your puppet, and he's entitled? Well, girl. Sorry. If there was an option to punch this chick in the face, I'd have taken it in a heartbeat. But instead I held back. It would be all too easy to give in to emotion, but to do so would be no different from giving her ammo to use against me. That said, at the very least, I wanted to say something in his defense, but Snow White stopped me. If this bowl was so special to your relationship, then surely you must have some kind of anecdote about it, right? An anecdote about a bowl? Hardly! We ate separately and never spoke. He didn't try to talk to us, and we didn't talk to him either. I see. So he was an unwanted presence. Unwanted? Don't put words in my mouth! I was just giving him his own space. So you took someone in that was homeless because he was pretty. Okay. You used him to do your bidding, but you never bothered to try to talk to... The fuck kind of crack you on, girl? Wow. This bitch. This is ex-girlfriend crack whore. Because she is on some kind of shit if she thought this was normal. But you were ignoring him, right? Well, what else was I supposed to do with him? He wasn't family. He was a foreign presence in my house. Then why did you take... Ex-girlfriend C is ex-girlfriend crazy. Then why bother bringing us a keepsake at all? You don't even have any concrete proof that Kaguya actually used it. You're right. I don't actually care about this piece of crap. And with that, she threw the bowl away. Look, Kaguya, you need a guardian to look after you, and I know the ball will end up in my court sooner or later, so just do as I tell you. She just wants a pretty toy to abuse. Oh, that's enough. As she reached out to touch him, I interjected, stopping her short. Her cold eyes slowly turned to me. I stared back stubbornly, my eyes narrowed. You chose to throw the ball away. It'll never end up back in your court. Cinderella, judge, jury, and executioner! Princess number 2. The next visit was the haughty woman who had struck Kaguya in the cafe. Kaguya would always do anything I told him to. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, even helping me run the shop. You had him work for you? Oh, I most certainly did. I couldn't just let him live with me for free, you know? I needed him to pull his own weight or else he'd just be a drain on my resources. Ex-girlfriend asshole. We all got their ex-girlfriend. A for asshole, B for bitch, C for crazy, crack whore, or we could call her cunt. Whatever, they're all cunts though, so I'm like, crazy. Ex-girlfriend D is douche. There you go. That's what the A stands for. It stands for asshole. This is fun. I see. I mean, here's the thing. We're kind of doing the same thing, but he's helping out to kind of earn room and board. You know what I mean? So we're not doing anything really different than her, except for we're treating him different. Like, you can live here and you'll help out in the cafe and that'll help pay for your rent. And we'll help you do your but we're not treating him like a slave. It's like, yeah, you can help out. It's not like we're like, oh, sweet, I just sit there and file my nails while he does all the dishes. It's like we split the chores. Sure, you do clean up today and I'll do the laundry, and then I'll work in the cafe and you help out, which makes sense. You're doing a service for something. He is getting to stay here and he's helping out around just like we do. You know what I mean? But with her, it's more like, I could hi, he's going to be a drain on my resources, so of course he's just going to do all the work I don't want to do, while she probably just sat there and did nothing. He didn't just help, he did all of it. You know? I didn't agree with it, but I could at least see where she was coming from. No one was obligated to take care of some guy they weren't related to. You're not obligated to take care of some guy you are related to. Just saying. So in exchange for those human necessities, she put him to work like a live-in assistant. Frankly, it wasn't all that different from his current situation with us. Yeah, but we treat him better. What? What? It's nothing. But I tell you, he'd always get into trouble behind my back. It was so infuriating. He doesn't get in trouble behind my back. What sort of trouble? If I sent him to the store, he'd buy things I didn't ask for or buy the wrong thing altogether. Plus, he'd always wander off somewhere. God, what a hassle. Leave if you want to, but don't make me have to hunt you down and drag you back. All the neighbors gossiped about us. I was so embarrassed. But you had a pretty boy toy doing all the work for you, so you tolerated it. God, everybody thinks he's such a burden. I was tired of listening to her complain, so I decided to keep the conversation moving. So is that your keepsake? It sure is. It was what I believed to be a branch laden with peaches made out of fake crystal. Oh, hey, is this a glass ornament? Right, Cinderella, our glassblower. Cinderella leaned forward curiously. He was a big fan of all things glass, especially slippers. What? They look pretty on my feet, and I only wear them around my bedroom. I don't wear them out in public. Don't judge me! It's fucking rude. Ad-libbed a little, it's fine. This is a keepsake he bought for me as a gift. The second I laid eyes on it, all my pain and misery just melted away. Everything he did for me because he loved me. No, it's because you forced him to. She spoke with an enraptured expression on her face. Kaguya, you love me. That means you belong to me. I'll forgive you for everything, so just come back to me, okay? Wait, is this one of the ones I made? What? Man, this takes me back. And this one was so damn hard to make. How the hell did you get your hands on it? No, you're lying. There's no way a mere amateur could make this. You think I'm lying? Well, then why don't we check my collection? And while we're at it, I can see if mine is missing. Cinderella smirked. That bitch stole it! That's not possible. I literally just bought this. And that was the moment she realized she had dug her own grave. So in other words, it's a fake. So Cinderella was like, I think I made that. Did you steal it from me? She's like, bitch, I just bought this 2 minutes before I came in here. Nice. Fake is the crystal it's made of. Ugh. Because she didn't remember, like, everyone was like, oh my god, we'll get our keepsakes, and she was the only one that was like, kind of So I'm surprised she had a keepsake, because she faked it. Kaguya, does this item remind you of anything? No. He's like, reminds me of Cinderella, because I think I saw it in his room. Like, didn't think so. And there were never any memories attached to this thing to begin with. Cinderella snorted. Why? Having lost her temper, the woman grabbed at Kaguya. No violence! Together, Cinderella and I pulled her away from him. I made so many sacrifices for you, and you were nothing but trouble. Did you think you could get back at me by disappearing? Someone ought to beat some sense into you. Oh my god. These are bad people owners. Sorry. We shouldn't joke about that. That's terrible. But, like, we're treating him like he's a dog. Like, oh, bad dog. You peed on the carpet all the time. Like, you don't get to keep him. You're abusive. But it's a person. This is so weird. Human trafficking right here. Forget it. Go wherever you want. I'm done with you. And so the woman stormed out of the cafe, her face beet red. A real character, that one. Princess number 3. The third to visit was the small, cutesy girl. With her big puppy dog eyes, she showed us her keepsake. The instant I laid eyes on it, I was stunned. In her hands was a tiny scrap of fabric, burned to a crisp. A big chunk of ash or something? No! Just to humor her, I gave it another once-over. I'm pretty sure that's just a chunk of ash. No, it's the robe Kagipai wore when he lived with me. Fighting back the urge to reply with, whatever you say, hon, I instead asked, then why is it charred black? Because there was a fire. I'm sorry to hear that. It's okay. Things are a lot better now. Anyway, any luck, Kagipai? I think she burnt it in a fit of rage, but sorry, I can't remember a thing. Oh. When Kaguya shook his head, she seemed sort of relieved. Something about it felt off to me, so I questioned her further. So what was it like having Kaguya live with you? Kagipai was always smiling, and everyone was always fawning over him, telling him how cute and precious he was, buying him clothes and stuff. So he was cuter than you. They still loved you, but not as much as Kaguya. Isn't that right? At this, the girl snapped. No, that's not true! I'm way cuter than he is! I admit he is cute, but not in an actually cute way. Just in a sad, pathetic way. They only coddled him because they felt sorry for him. That's not the same thing. Wow, this bitch. I'm the cutest one. How is it I'm the one who ended up all neglected? Ah, I see. So you were burning with jealousy and then burned all of his clothes in jealousy. At this, her complexion turned green with envy. And those flames consumed this keepsake of yours, correct? Yeah, that's right. Poor me, constantly being compared to him. Meanwhile, their precious Kagipai kept smiling away, but I knew those smiles were fake. So I decided to rip the phony's mask off and take him down a peg. Come back to my house, okay, Kagipai? It'll work out this time. They all know exactly what you're like. I made sure to tell them. So this time you can be jealous of me. This actually, I lied. This is not ex-girlfriend douche. This is ex-girlfriend delusional. She should have been ex-girlfriend crazy, because she crazy, but... The second you gave into your jealousy, that keepsake lost any value it had. As proof of that, you were unable to restore Kaguya's memories, wow. Consequently, you'll receive no prize. Go home. Get out! Princess number 4. Oh, is this the bitch? The fourth visitor was the fashionable girl we met in the shopping district. See, it's the jade necklace, remember? No, I'm afraid I don't. Oh, please, get a better look at it then. She was flippant in both tone and attitude, but Kaguya treated her kindly nonetheless. Sorry, love. Could you tell me what sort of memories are associated with it? You never change, do you? We made tons of memories with this. But it was the only thing I was wearing. See, it all started when I told you I dropped this jade necklace in the lake and made you look for it. Wow. Made me look for it? Yeah, I mean, you always did anything we asked, so one day we decided to test you, to see just how far you'd go. We? Are we talking about ourselves in the third person here? We did this, or like all these bitches conspiring. So we told you we'd lost something important and asked you to help us look. Obviously, you were never going to find it. Why? Because we hadn't actually lost it. But you didn't realize we were lying. You kept searching, even in the pouring rain, to the point that you got sick. What a fucking psychopath. Bitch is right. No idea what happened to you after that, but clearly you survived. Good for you. Kaguya's like, yeah. Is it possible Kaguya's a monster? I think no was the right fucking answer after this. No. Okay, I know I said maybe you were a monster, but after this, Kaguya, you were never a monster, my poor precious snowflake. Jesus. Say, Kaguya, do you remember now? Come home with me. Entertain us some more. Sorry. You don't? How come? Before you go, can I ask one last question? In the end, I came home empty-handed, yeah? Suppose I'd somehow had the necklace. Would it have... His voice began to falter, so I stepped in. They set you up to fail. Whether you looked or not, the outcome was always going to be the same. Kaguya hung his head in defeat, so I decided to let Snow White make the final call. What do you think, boss? Send her away. You heard the man. Out! So a week flew by. Oh, and a week flew by, sorry. Though the four princesses utilized their cunning, wealth, and influence, all of their strategies ended in failure. When they realized Kaguya would never be theirs, they hurled insults at him and stormed out. They were abusive bitches. As for the fifth princess... Me? Well, I'm sure exhausted in more ways than one. Yeah, no kidding. What a total bust. That night, we stood in the empty dining hall, talking about the events of the past week. Those bitches, I tell ya. At first, they're screaming that Kaguya is their property, and then when he doesn't remember him, they call him an entitled asshole and walk out on him. Indeed, the women had all written Kaguya off the moment he failed to remember them. Their final parting words to him were, "After everything I did for you, why won't you do what I tell you?" In the end, they only cared about what he could offer them. Exactly. Poor baby. You just want to hold it. It's okay, sweet. Just don't remember. It's okay. Again, it's like we're treating him like a dog, but it's like, it's okay. All those people were mean. We'll chip you and keep you and take care of you. He's our sad lost dog. Meanwhile, Kaguya stared into space. Kaguya? What is it, puppet? Oh, nothing. Don't sweat it. You survived this long without your memories. You'll be fine. I totally, didn't see it there until I clicked and I was like, wait. Cinderella put an arm around Kaguya's shoulders to cheer him up. If you want, I can hook you up with someone way hotter. Wait! Excuse me? Oh, right. Forgot you were already taken. Right. Cinderella took one look at me and hurried back to his room. I let out a sigh. Both Cinderella and Snow White had taken pity on Kaguya and tried to help him. But as for Kaguya himself... Okay, that is not how it works! That's not how the moon works! You don't go from, this gibbous to that... Game! Get your moons right! First of all, we looked up at the moon and it was a crescent. Well, no, it wasn't. It was a gibbous. But you had that left crescent that was dark. And then it was I don't know which quarter. Is it I don't know which... First of all, is that even the way... Does the moon go that way or is it going the wrong way? Is it going backwards anyway? Look, anyway. You don't go from a gibbous to a half to the total opposite crescent. Jesus. At least just... And it's really funny because now I'm like, does the moon actually go from right to left? Like, does it start out as like a full moon and then it goes like progressively, like the right side gets darker, or does it go the other way? Like, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, now I don't know which way the moon. Like, why don't I know this? You're like, shit. But at any rate, you don't go the way it did, and now it's like the left side of the moon is a crescent. It'd be the right side that's a crescent. Flip your fucking shit around. It's like they reversed it. Like, Okay, I know we blame Tim for typing terribly, but like, who the fuck is in charge of the backgrounds? Because that bitch fucked up some shit. That is worse than Tim's terrible typing. It's not like the people that translated it. I'm not saying. It's like the people who made the game originally were like, throw this in, and you were like, quality control. Woo, hello. That's not how the moon works. Stop it. Also, I feel like that was supposed to be when they're like, it was a crescent moon. That's not a crescent moon. Like, the little things that set me off. This is just weird. It's like attention to detail. Like, come on. Come on. You're fucking up the moon here. Jesus. Kaguya started to lose himself in thought with growing frequency. Whenever the winter night sky was clear, he'd wander outside and stare up at the moon. But, I mean, the point being is it went from, like, not quite a full moon, but it was like the waxing, or I would assume it was a waxing gibbous. A waning gibbous sounds almost more like it's waning away, like, so it's all, you're getting to the new moon, which is all black. You know what I mean? Like, well, it's the dark side of the moon, you can't see it. So, I would assume, but, so it's like his time is progressively getting shorter, like something's gonna happen. Especially if the wizard told us he's a moon prince. That's pretty cool. Anyway. What's with you and the moon? He's the rabbit in the moon. I'm still some kind of moon prince, rabbit in the moon, I don't know. I stood beside him, partly to keep him company and partly to keep him from vanishing altogether. I feel like that's topical. Over time, the moon was shifting from a waxing crescent to a proper full moon. But it's actually not a full moon. We're going the opposite way. I mean, I get... the story goes with certain things. It was a crescent, and then it's going to turn into a full... But it was never... But they've got the CGs backwards then, because it was then an actual crescent, and then it was a half moon. But they've got it backwards. It's going from a full moon to a new moon. But what they really want is it was going from a new moon, and oh, now they have a crescent moon, and now you have a half moon. Then you have the gibbous, then you have a full moon. But this backgrounds are backwards, and that bothers me. Oh my god! Am I the only one that's like triggered by this? Like, what? Stop! Because you're giving me a visual that's the opposite of what you're saying, and my brain can't find. It's like, what? No, I can't. What? It's not logical. Stop it. So, okay, it's supposed to be the reverse. So right now it shouldn't. So technically, that thing that we saw where it was a crescent moon should have been the original one when she said it was a crescent moon. And then we saw the half moon, even though it should have been reversed. Because the crescent and the half should be on the same side, not crescents on the, like, on the left side and the half, like, lit. The lit is what I'm talking about, not the dark side, is on the right. So obviously, whatever. And then now it should be the gibbous if we're progressing to a proper full moon. So those two should have been switched. So whoever was in charge of putting the fucking backgrounds in there is fucking dumb and should have flipped some things around and changed. Got the order all fucked up. They were like, put the moon ones in there. This one. Sure. No. No. Crescent first, then the half, then the gibbous, and also flip them to make sure they're aligned. Go in the proper way. And again, like, my ass does not know if it's left to right or right to left. I don't know. I read left to right, but does the moon go left to right or does it go right to left? Because in Japanese, you write right to left, right? So it's like, I don't know which way the moon fucking goes. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I really don't. No, it would start the crescent on the right, would then go to the half on the right, would go to the gibbous on the right, goes to the full moon, and then the dark comes in. So it goes... Well, yeah, I mean... So the cycle of the... I'm trying to think of it logically in my head. Full... It goes right to left. Because the moon would turn... Is that clockwise? Because the moon's turning one way, but clockwise is different. Anyway, the CG, the backgrounds are messed up and it bugs me, and now my brain can't process. Look, I need more coffee. Anyway, so over time the moon was actually shifting from a waxing crescent to a proper full moon. So a waxing crescent is when it's starting. So that was a waning gibbous then, right? Waxing crescent. A waxing gibbous would be mostly almost full, right? Nothing. I see. We spent way more time discussing the moon in this game. Drive me bonkers. Well, you shouldn't be wandering around outside this late at night. We're all really worried about you. Why don't we go back home? Back home? Because then it would make more sense then that the full moon is like magic time for him and not the dark, not a new moon. Because like a full moon is when you get werewolves and werebunnies and like, maybe he's a werebunny. No, he's a moon prince, we know, because that ending, so. Yeah, or is there somewhere specific you wanted to go? I'll come with you. At this question, he lifted his head and gazed at the sky once more. That's his home. Okay, this should be the opposite one, where it should be the gibbous moon, not... Shh, triggered. His eyes were always fixated firmly on the moon. The one place I couldn't go. You said there's a rabbit on the moon, yeah? Yeah? Do you remember what I told you? That rabbits have long ears and can hear voices from miles away? Yeah, I remember. Back then, you said that ability would send the rabbit into despair. But I think you're a bit off the mark there. The rabbit was already in despair right from the start. He hears those voices because of it. That's why he yearns for the moon. Every time he sees it, he feels so sad and alone. But moon dwellers are beautiful, opulent people who never grow old and never have any problems. And they live in a utopia. I knew painfully well just what he meant. The rabbit wants to go home. To the moon. It was his deepest, most desperate desire. I've thought about it. And you know what, Puppet? I think those ladies might be right. I'm a right mess of a person. I ought to be grateful they let me into their homes at all. I've got nothing to offer them. And nothing special in terms of looks. Oh, no, that's not true. You're so beautiful. Just some funny clothes. And no talent. I'm only useful as a servant. They only cared about me because I served a purpose to them. And they never needed me. Hey, Puppet. Are you gonna do what they did and... No, never mind. Sorry, that was stupid of me. Have I upset you? No, I'm fine. Like I said before, I'm stronger than you think. You can get a little rough with me. I won't break. Now let's go home. Right. I took his hand and proceeded to drag him back to the cafe. He's trying to go home, to the moon. He is the rabbit! Oh, it's his again. Hello there, Puppet. It seems I've been worrying you as of late. So this time I'd like to talk about something fun. One of the old grandpas who frequents the cafe says he's missed seeing you around. Apparently you remind him of his wife when she was young. How dare he gush about my girlfriend's smile right to my face? You got all the men wrapped around your finger, don't ya? Haha. That's the haha. Our conversation reminded me of the day I first met you. From the moment I laid eyes on you, I thought you were a friendly girl with a sweet smile. Everyone adores you, Puppet. To me, you've always seemed so perfect and untouchable. When we first started dating, you had told me that as we spent time together and made memories together, our feelings would turn into true love. Do you still feel that way? Do you still want to learn more about me? Why is it that you're in a relationship with me, Puppet? Well, at first it was because you were handsome, and you asked. And now it's just because you're sweet and adorable, and it's kind of sad that you lost your memories, and maybe we want to protect you a little. It's like, it's okay, baby, we'll protect you. Even if you're psycho. I don't know. You never know. We don't know. We don't know what he's going to be like when he gets his memories back, if he gets them back. Come on in. A table for two. I'll have you seated over here. The more Kaguya withdrew into himself, the more obsessed I became in turn, thinking about him all hours of the day and night. Then one day... Ouch! I got distracted while I was cooking and accidentally cut my left index finger with a chef's knife. Oh boy. That happens to me a lot. My right hand hates my left hand. It likes to try to chop my fingers off. That's why you're supposed to hold food with your knuckles and not with your fingers out. You're supposed to hold it with your fingers bent under, because then you're cutting and you're not going to chop your fingers. But nobody does that because we don't think of it. Well, smart people do it, but like the rest of us don't, because we're like, oh yeah, and then you don't do it. But my right hand always wants to cut my left one, because my left hand can do things my right hand can't. Like, my right hand does 90% of things, but there are just a few things that my left hand has to do that my right hand is like, can't figure out. So my right hand's a little fucking pissed about it. Look. I swear, every time I'm like, why? Why should I not be allowed to hold knives? Because my right hand's like, stupid left hand taking some glory from me. I don't know. I mean, I'm not ambidextrous because I can't do most things left-handed, but I can snap left-handed, but I cannot snap right-handed. Well, that's not bad. And like, I mean, obviously I can write right-handed. I can't really do it left-handed, but like my contacts, I absolutely cannot put them in right-handed. If I try to do it, it's like, if you wear contacts and you were to try to put them in with your non-dominant hand, you're like, okay, careful, careful. Oh God. Oh, carefully trying to put them in. Where like my left hand just pop, pop in and my right hand's like, I'm gonna stab myself in the eye. It's fucking weird. I don't know. But I take them out right-handed. Take them out right-handed, put them in left-handed. Take them out right-handed, put them in left-handed. Don't fucking ask me why, but I just have a steadier hand with my left hand trying to put my contacts in. Sometimes I actually consider when I'm trying to use chopsticks too, because I'm like, I can't, my right hand, I gotta switch, try them left-handed. And I haven't done it, but I'm probably able to learn chopsticks left-handed better too. So be like, well, I eat with a fork with a right hand. I got a spoon or a fork with a right hand. The chopstick with like a double fist. Like, because like, think about it. You're going to hold a fork, right? If you're right-handed, try to hold it left-handed. You're like, it feels wrong. Even just trying to make, like, just pretend you're holding a fork. Got a fork in my hand. Pretend. Try to do it left-handed. Do the exact same motion. You're like, this just feels weird. It's wrong. It just, something feels awkward. You're like, it feels awkward and like I'm making the wrong hand motions and like I don't know how to hold a fork, even though you're doing the same thing. It just feels weird. That's the way my right hand feels about certain things. I don't know. So, yes, I always chop my fingers off. Poor left hand. Watching the blood seep out from the cut, I was contemplating what to do when Kaguya walked in from the dining hall with impeccable timing. Puppet, can I get 2 Darjeelings, a cheddar cheesecake, and a slice of apple crumble for... Cheddar cheesecake? I mean, I've never heard of cheddar cheesecake. What is that? It sounds amazing. Cheddar is good. Cheesecake is good. Oh, hi, Kaguya! But before I could ask permission to step away from my post to patch myself up, Kaguya stumbled backwards, his face white as a sheet. Okay, so he's squicked out by blood. His elbow bumped into a bowl, which went clattering to the floor. Kaguya? Tilting my head, I blinked at them. I blinked at him. Then I realized he was staring directly at my finger. At the blood. Meanwhile, the bowl, which I'd been using to rest my dough, had now splattered its contents all over the floor. Hey! What's going on in here? Cinderella peeked in, summoned by the commotion. You hurt yourself. Yeah, a little. As soon as he took in the situation, he immediately intuited what was going on. He walked up and looked at me intently. Intuited. So weird. What's the order? What? The order! What were you making, or do you not have one? Oh, right. 2 Darjeelings, 1 cheddar cheesecake, and 1 apple crumble for table number 3. I got it. And he set about brewing the tea without another word. Cinderella? I'll take care of this. Go have Kaguya patch you up. You can handle that, right, Kaguya? Yeah. Cinderella's wearing suspenders. That's hot. They're not up, but still hot. Let's sit right here. Arriving at my room, Kaguya wrapped my finger in the handkerchief I gave him. Is it painful? Nah. Liar. You're hurt. Of course you'd feel pain. And so Kaguya silently administered first aid. He was quite skilled at it, as if he'd done it all countless times before. Maybe he did, because remember his mother was kind of she abused him, but like was she a drunkard that abused him? So like maybe she fell a lot, or he had to patch himself up if she was abusive. Honestly, he'd be better off paying a visit to the hospital. For this tiny little cut? Nah, it'll heal up in no time. He averted his gaze, and I looked down at his left hand, where dozens of faint pink lines ran across his wrist. They were all centered on the same section of his arm, like an emblem of his suffering. Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. That's sad. But unlike the little nick on my finger, those scars weren't going to heal in an instant. Either they'd fade with time, or quite possibly they'd remain for the rest of his life. Puppet, what can I do to make your life easier? Where did that come from? He didn't answer. That's the kind of question you have to ask yourself. Me? Yeah, what is it you want to do for me? Well, What do you want to do, Kaguya? If the answer is nothing, then I don't need you to do anything. Well, I can't just do nothing. I wanted to ask, because you'll feel like you haven't earned the right to be here, but I held my tongue. In that case, I'll do something for you. I'll hug you. Still seated on the bed, I pulled Kaguya into my arms. His breath brushed against my hair, and my heart welled with indescribable affection. You always do so much for me. He nuzzled his forehead against me, and it tickled slightly. Darn right. I'm your girlfriend, remember? My girlfriend. That's right. I'm the girl you're meant to hug and hold hands with. Yes, see, that's what a girlfriend should be. They should do things for you, too, not be a horrible bitch and use you like fucking slave. Jesus. But our girlfriend's meant to hurt themselves. As he spoke, he held up my hand and kissed the cut. Hurting yourself sure isn't fun, is it? Well, that's true. I was like, ooh, obviously he's got like the whole like staring at the blood was like freaking him out. But then again, he cuts himself, so that it could have been triggering. You know what I mean? I totally forgot about it. Not that he remembers doing it, but... Can you feel my pain? Yeah, I feel it. Oh, just a new scene. I was like, new scene or CG? That night, we stepped out to go for a walk. As hard as I tried to keep Kaguya from looking at the moon, it never seemed to stick. Lovely moon tonight, isn't it, darling? Yeah. His face and profile glowed beneath the moonlight. Beautiful, fragile, but most of all, melancholy. Listen, puppet. I'm not human. I reckon I'm actually a moon dweller. What? How would you react if I said that to you? Kind of like I did just now. What? Strangely enough, it was the same thing he said to me in that dream I had. How would you react if Kaguya was a moon dweller? Keep him here on Earth. Let him go home to the moon. Keep him here on Earth. Do you remember the conversation we had a while back? I'd do everything in my power to keep you with me. I won't let anyone take you away. I'll fight every single moon dweller if I have to. Moondwellers are beautiful, opulent people who never grow old and never have problems. Think about it. Can you really say that counts as true happiness? I mean, after you've been through a lot of suffering, yeah. You gotta suffer a little to be able to know that, but when you get to the certain point, you're like, I've suffered enough, now I will be a Moondweller and have true happiness. Yes, it will be perfect. Well, he hesitated and looked away, but as I was waiting for him to find his answer, all of a sudden, something yanked my hair and I came to a stop. Confused, I turned to find that my hair had gotten caught on a tree branch. What's the matter? My hair. You're a bit hapless at times, aren't you, Puppet? He laughed and shook his head at me. I mean, no one could have seen that coming. Sorry. Hold still, yeah? He reached out and started to untangle my hair from the branch. Okay. There you are. Thank you. What would have happened if I wasn't with you? Would you simply be stuck there? That and crying like a baby, probably. I could just imagine having that kind of day where everything has just been awful, your hair gets stuck in a tree, instead of being like, and like getting it out, you're just like, give up! And you're just like crying hysterically, and someone comes and you're like, it's just a day, and now I give up. I'm like, that's the thing that breaks you. You look fucking ridiculous, but you're like, I don't even care. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, because it's something that you'd be like, what the frick? And then you'd kind of laugh about, and normally, but like, you just had that kind of day that it makes you just hysterical. Like, I bet you're glad I was here to help, yeah? Yeah. Right. Well then, Kaguya, is that you? Just then a voice called out from behind. It's another woman. I whirled around to find a woman standing there. But this time, it wasn't one of his exes. Oh, I knew it was you. I can still recognize you even after all these years. I'm glad to see you're doing well. Everyone was really worried about you, you know, after everything that happened. They were afraid you might still feel guilty about it. Oh my god, you did not blame this child for killing his mother when his mother was abusive, did you? And that's why he lost his memories? Because we saw that little flashback and it was like someone was dead and blah, 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 nobody wanted him and like whatever. But you got the I got the impression that his mother was abusive. And are you trying to tell me that these motherfuckers tried to make a little child feel guilty about it? Oh, hell no. Spacey gonna kick some ass. You don't hurt our precious little bunny like this, okay? The moment she laid eyes on him, the woman smiled and started to speak fondly of the past. His past. Pardon me, but as Kaguya hesitated, I decided to speak up on his behalf. Oh, right. Sorry to interrupt your conversation. No, it's fine. So, you know Kaguya? Yes, I do. He used to stay at the facility where I worked. Okay, so maybe it's not one of his relatives. All right, okay. Oh, where was that? It was an orphanage called the Bamboo House. An orphanage? She pressed a hand over her mouth in an oops gesture. Oh, gosh, I'm so sorry. Did I say something I shouldn't have? Kaguya. I looked at Kaguya to gauge his reaction and found him grimacing with a hand clutching his forehead. Kaguya? My head. He staggered sideways and collapsed on the spot. Kaguya! I slid an arm around his shoulders and helped him into a sitting position. He's obviously not a moon dweller. Clutching his head, Kaguya started to sweat bullets, his complexion ashen. And then... I can't scream really loud, it's gonna hurt my throat. Kaguya! Snap out of it! Please! Kaguya! All at once, he broke down. Nothing I said or did got through to him. Angry were-bunny! He simply smacked my hands away and screamed to drown out whatever I said. Then, eventually, he lost consciousness completely. And that lady's like, oh, okay. Oh, no, sweetie, no, put it away. He's got something sharp in his hands. Why wasn't I good enough? Oh, he's just a little kid. Well, he's like, okay, he's not little. He's like maybe teenage Kaguya. He's like little, he's still baby Kaguya, okay? He's like mid-baby Kaguya. Not like baby, but he's little. What did I do to upset them? What did I do to disappoint them? What did I do to make them so miserable? What was I supposed to do? Oh, nothing popped up automatically. Was that supposed to have, like, sound or something to it? Because there was no text. That was weird. Even if I knew it was an impossible task, I still couldn't say no. After all, if I said no, they'd decide that I was useless. I'm wondering if this is, like, referring to the family. Because, like, everyone's like, I have 2 kids of my own. So, like, he wanted to make himself useful. No, I'll do whatever you want. And that's how he started being a yes man. Well, I was scared. Scared of getting yelled at, of getting punched, of being ignored, being treated like a burden. All of it. Because that's how his mommy treated him. Our poor little bunny. I spent my whole life reading people. I spent my whole life smiling. But in the end, I couldn't accomplish a single one of their impossible tasks. So they abandoned me. I had nowhere to belong. No one wanted me. Oh my god, it's gonna break my heart. And then one day, she told me that this world was tainted. So why not fly like a bird across the ocean to someplace far, far away? Who's she? An orphanage? Yeah, according to the woman who used to work there, after Kaguya lost his parents, he got shuffled around from relative to relative until he ended up at their facility. Because, like, a relative would take him in and he was always trying to be a good kid, but they didn't want him to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, you could hear from that conversation they had in the very, way back. I wanted to say the very beginning, but it wasn't. The very first one we had of his flashbacks. They were like, I've got kids. I don't want, like, they all kind of thought he was a burden. So he overheard all this. Maybe he wasn't really aware of it, being a kid. But then, like, was always like, oh, I need to make myself useful for them, blah, 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 blah. But they didn't want him to begin with. So nothing he did was ever going to please them or be enough. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, yeah, we'll take you in and you're a troubled kid and we try, but we can't handle you. That's okay. Like, it sucks for the kid, but, like, it's okay to not be able to handle it, you know? But they didn't want him to begin with. They didn't want to try. So he was always just a burden to them. So that's where he's getting that, like, I don't want to be a burden and nothing I did was ever good enough. And then he ends up in the orphanage and, oh, poor broken little bunny. Just want to hold him and pet him. Aww. She said he was always cheerful and well behaved, never complained, never threw a tantrum. It sounds like he hasn't changed much. And then how'd he end up with amnesia? No idea. Apparently he didn't have these symptoms when he lived there. But at some point after he moved in, there was an incident. An incident? One of the orphan girls jumped off the roof and took her own life. That was the girl in the thing, like she said. So she was obviously... Oh, no one blame... I hope you don't feel guilty. Maybe he thinks he should have been able to stop her, but it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Like, if someone has a mental illness that makes them depressed and suicidal, it's not your fault if they kill themselves. Like, especially if you're a child, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can always guilt yourself into being like, I should have known, I should have seen something, blah, blah, blah. But some people are really good at keeping that quiet and being like, I'm just going to keep the crazy thoughts to myself because, you know, no one's going to understand. Plus, generally, as a society, we're really bad with mental illness. We're like, what? That's pathetic. Like, we're not good at being like, look, if you are sad, if you feel like you talk to a therapist, talk to a licensed professional. But even then, it's like, well, I can't because I can't afford it. And most insurances cover like, oh, you can get a couple of appointments. And then you got to keep... So we suck at it as a society. You know what I mean? But like, so sometimes you just gotta learn to deal with your own problem. But it's not ever your fault if someone else makes that choice. It's their choice to make. Like, and once, unfortunately, someone is gone, you can't blame yourself and go, I should have done something different, because you can't change the past. And again, it's not your fault. Not Kaguya's fault, it's not your fault. Like, don't guilt yourself. Don't do it. Also, don't jump off a fucking roof. Like, just don't do that. Seriously, talk to a licensed professional? Just saying. Heavy themes in this. Anyway, we're all at time, but we'll finish this part. One of the orphan girls jumped off the roof. Okay. And he witnessed the whole thing. Yeah. And obviously he wasn't the one who pushed her or anything like that. That implies that someone did, instead of she jumped off. But the girl was a close friend of his, so her death was extremely traumatic for him. He started rejecting food and water until he was nothing but skin and bones. But sometime afterwards, Kaguya left the orphanage, and the woman didn't know what happened to him after that. That's, so she thinks he felt guilty. Gotcha! I imagine all those things added up to the point that Kaguya's brain wanted to forget. He forgot in order to protect his body and mind, so he wouldn't break. Yeah. If his memories are that traumatic, then maybe it's better we let them stay gone. For the record, if the guy's got nowhere else to go, then I don't mind keeping him here. Not like I ever had a use for these extra rooms. Plus, he's a good employee. You guys are fine with that, right? I love the fact that, like, Cinderella's totally our fucking bro. He is, like, such a good wingman, and he's just a good friend. He's like, well, Kaguya can stay here. I feel bad for punching him that time, but he's not bad. Like, he's a good person underneath. In his route, he was a bad person, but, like, here he's a good person. Like, he got better. They all have a little shady in them, so I don't think it's a good idea to keep him here in his current state. What? Why the hell not? You were the one who nagged me to let him stay in the first place. How do you want to dump him at the hospital so you don't have to deal with him? It's not that. I don't think he wants to be here. He's going to leave sooner or later. See, I kind of figured it out. I realized why he looks at the moon and why it makes him sad. From his point of view, the world is tainted. Being here makes him lonely and miserable. Okay, he's gonna leave This sounds like a metaphor for suicide, and girl, that is not the right way to think. He's gonna leave eventually. Okay. That's not the right idea to take. Like, well, I mean, I get he's gonna just wander away, but like, you know that he has a history of self-harm and this habit. This is not where you're like, well, I mean, he's just gonna do it anyway. Okay, no! That's when you help someone or do something. This is when you feel guilty. You're like, well, I mean, he was just gonna jump off a roof anyway, so I just figured why not. Like, no, please, please. At that point, do what you can to try to help someone, but there's only so much you can do. Okay. But still, don't just be like, what ifs? I know that's not what she's saying, but I just feel like that's underlying and it worries me. So he yearns to go to the moon. Which, you know, the ultimate escapist fantasy. But once he got up there, I guarantee he'd be bored out of his mind. Granted, I do get why he feels that way. Well, whatever. If you need anything, say the word and I'll get it for you. Okay, thank you, Cinderella. And with that, the two of them left my room. Alright, now we'll end. But like, wow. But seriously. If you're sad, or depressed, or have suicidal thoughts, please get help. Talk to someone. Call a helpline. Don't hurt yourselves. I love you. Now that we've had that heavy moment. Yeah, so wow. I mean, they all have kind of like heaviness to them, which I mean, I like. It's not just light and fluffy. There's always a little bit of something going on, and all of them have some kind. Like, Kaguya is negative as he's a womanizer, but it's really, he's a womanizer, but he's not really, in a way. You know what I mean? Like, he comes off like that, like, oh my god, he's a man whore, he just got all these girlfriends, but he doesn't remember, and it's not like he just wants a place to belong. And all of this trauma in his past and always wanting to feel like he was needed or cared for, and everybody just kind of abandoned him and threw him away. So we just started saying, yes, do anything that you want me to do. And everybody treated him like shit. And we're the first people, not just us, but like even Cinderella, the first people who were like, yeah, okay, you can help out, but we'll do stuff for you. And like, we'll treat you like a human being because you're a fucking human being. You know what I mean? But everybody else kind of took advantage of it or just abandoned him or whatever. So like, in a way, everyone else was kind of like, well, you're crazy. And you're like, Cinderella was like, wow, they all got over their stuff. But Cinderella was like, I'm just in it for the money. Like, he was just a money chase. He was fucking a gold digger. He was a goddamn gold digger. Fucking Red Riding Hood was just like, you have issues with women, dude. Like, you need to get over them. Didn't you call us a whore or something at some point? Like, you like flipped your shit and you was like, whoa, I'm gonna need you to simmer down the toxic masculinity here. And the poor man had ears and a tail. But like, and then Gretel is just like fucking crazy. Like, bitch, put us in a cage. And then Kaguya's like, poor, sad, broken boy. Like, no. But anyway, I really do like this game. It's good. But I feel bad for Kaguya, so we're going to pet and snuggle our precious bunny and try to keep him happy. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.